All right, guys, welcome back to the Bolt Fitness and Performance Podcast. This is actually our first ever episode that we are now recording. So now, not only do you get to hear Tom's beautiful voice, you also get to see his beautiful face. So now we're stepping our game up. How you doing, Tom?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Glad to be back.
Good, awesome. All right, so we've had a lot of questions around the facility. I know, especially like in this last block. Really, we've done a lot of more strength training, heavy training, right? And let's just start with something basic. Like, why should you lift heavy? Why is this important to the individual, right? We want to make sure everybody understands that.
It's good for you, but I hate the word heavy.
Why is that?
I think it's the dumbest word ever. It's a relative word, right? What's heavy to me may not be heavy to you. Mm-hmm. What's heavy to you may not be heavy to someone else, right?
Well, obviously, it's heavy for me.
Agreed.
I can lift more weight.
Because you're Jack and Tan.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Jack, I don't know about Tan.
Yeah, we'll say translucent. Okay? Golf season's coming for you.
Yeah.
So heavy, it's a descriptive word. It just describes what it is to you, but it doesn't mean the same for everybody else. So everyone's like, oh, you gotta lift heavy. Then they automatically think to this big Neanderthal picking up thousands of pounds, doing this crazy thing.
Yeah.
And the average Joe's like, I can't do that.
No.
Well,
yeah.
I don't want you to. No one expects you to. You don't want to. Just stop using the word.
Okay.
Let's just replace heavy with strength training, weight training.
That makes sense.
Right? Let's not put that negative word onto it because nobody wants to pick up heavy weights.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, no, I mean, heavy is like, again, like you said, heavy is going to be different for me than you, so it's important to understand that when we're saying we want heavy strength training, it really means like...
We just want you to pick up weights that's challenging.
Yes, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah. Doesn't have to be quote unquote any of these buzzwords, right?
Yeah.
It just has to be challenging for you. Heavy, bad term. I like challenging.
Okay, so talking about challenging, right, you have people who haven't necessarily done this before, they have done this before. How do you find that challenging weight?
You start. Just pick something up.
Okay.
It's really, really simple, right? You look at a rock. Can I pick that rock up? I don't know. Let's see. If I pick it up, cool. Could I pick it up 100 times? It's not challenging.
Okay.
If I could only pick it up 10 to 20 times, it's probably pretty challenging.
Yeah.
So there you go. It's a really simple scale. Like, just pick it up. If it's too heavy, right? Too challenging, then it's too much, right? Do we go to the biggest rock that we could possibly find? No. Do we go to the smallest rock we could possibly find? No. We probably find something in between there.
Yeah.
We pick it up and we test it out, right? That's what strength training is. That's what weight training is we have really, really small weights. We have really, really big weights. Let's find something that looks achievable in the middle and then go test it out. Pick it up. Does it work? Cool. You found what's challenging to you. And then you just go up or down if it's not.
Yeah, and I think the way that can really apply to the weight room, right, is a lot of rep ranges you see from us is 10 to 20 reps, right? 10 to 15, 8 to 12, whatever it happens to be on that day, right? You never really know how to challenge yourself unless you hit, like, the top of that rep range, right? Once you're always shooting for it, like, 10 to 20 doesn't necessarily mean, like, yeah, we want 10 reps, right? It means, hey, your goal is to always try and hit 20. If you can hit 20, great, now we learn something from it. Now we learn that, hey, you could probably do something a little bit heavier, but shooting for a lower end of the rep range. So I think that's important to understand is when we're trying to find what is strength training, what is it to you, it's you gotta shoot for the stars a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Shoot for the top end of that rep range.
You should. Very, very few people will ever just inherently go pick a weight that they absolutely cannot touch, that they cannot lift, or will completely injure them right away. Right? That's just not in our nature. Human nature is not to go like, I want to see if I can cripple myself. Those are rare breeds of people. We rarely ever see them, right? So we'll naturally just go to a lighter weight. We'll gravitate to a less challenging weight. That's fine. And then we get to experiment from there and move and try and push. So yeah, we give rep ranges. We give you a guide, right? I want you to fall in between 10 to 20 reps. That really means between 5 and 30, but I want to tighten it up a little bit for you.
Yeah.
Right? So as long as you fall somewhere in that range and it becomes challenging at the end of it, you're probably in a pretty good spot. But then from there, it opens up the next door of, well, what is a challenging weight? What does it look like? How do I know how to get there? Right? And we like to use our own little scale that we'll put together of like, how many more could you have done? A lot of times you'll hear us say, how many more did you have in the tank? Right?
Yeah,
Meaning
that's a big one.
Our internal tank of, if I did 10, could I have done 15, but I stopped at 10? If the answer is yes, you probably had a little too much left in the tank.
Yep.
You should have done a couple more until you only have 1 to 3 left in the tank, right?
Okay.
Also known as reps in reserve, you'll hear us say sometimes. Like, how many more repetitions did I leave in the tank? Leaving a few is good. That's safe. If you're always going to 0, that's probably a dangerous zone for you to a degree there, right? So we always like to say, fall somewhere in the 10 to 20 with 1 to 3 left in the tank.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good guide to get you into that strength training world.
Yeah, no, that's a good way to put it too. And then for someone who is like, you've been doing the same weight over and over and over again for 10 to 20 reps, you're always hitting 15, right? Are you necessarily pushing yourself? What would you say to that person? Like, are they still strength training at that point? So they've been doing 10 pounds for a month, 2 months, 3 months, whatever it is. Are they still necessarily strength training at that point, or is that kind of something? But they always say like, yes, this is difficult for me. I feel challenged. Like, kind of what's going on there?
Gray area? Is it, are you lifting weights and are you putting stress on your muscles? Yes.
Yeah.
Right? If you've been doing it for a really long time, same weight, same rep, same everything, nah, probably not.
Okay.
Right? Is walking strength training? Not to most people, because we've been doing it for a really long time. The same amount, the same cadence, the same everything, right? Your body adapts to that, so it gets good at walking. Somebody who's never walked, i.e. a child, or somebody who has been on injury or something like that, has been bedridden for a while, walking to them now becomes much more challenging than you and I who walk 10 to 20,000 steps a day.
Yeah.
Right? So if we take that same analogy, we move it into weightlifting. If you've taken 12.5-pound dumbbells, you've lifted them 15 times for the last 5 years, and you've been doing it, you're probably walking, right? Your first day coming into it, you were probably strength training. But now you've acclimated to that, and your body's adjusted to where you're probably not really strength training or lifting heavy, quote unquote, right? It's probably not challenging enough, and that's why I like using that scale versus are you strength training or are we training to a challenging level?
Yeah, and I think we're always looking for that next step. Like, what is that next step? It's not necessarily saying like, okay, you've done 10 pounds and now you have to do 50, right? That's not what it is, right? When it comes to strength training and training in general, right, you want to slowly kind of layer it on, right? You want to do one thing, then a next, little more difficult, little more difficult, little more difficult. That's why we always say consistency is one of the most important parts of this.
Correct.
It's because if you're not consistent, then you're always going to stay the same. But if you've been consistent for a long time and you've been doing the same weight, then maybe instead of picking up that 15-pound weight, maybe now you want to pick up the 17 and a half, right?
Yeah.
That's why we're always going around asking questions. Like, I know people have kind of are starting to get trained at saying like, oh, hey, how does that feel? And immediately they look you dead in the eye and they go, heavy, right? They know they just don't want something heavier. But it's not always supposed to be a big jump, right? You can also mess with it in multiple different ways, whether it's weight or timing or whatever it is. But next time you're picking up a weight, think about, is this challenging? Is this something that I've been doing over and over and over again? And is it time to progress, right?
There's a lot of different ways you can make that challenging too.
Yeah.
You don't always have to add more weight or go heavier.
And what are some of those ways?
Man, challenging. You can add more repetitions. That's how many times you're doing the exercise in that individual bout. You can add more sets, which is more bouts of that, right? 4 sets, 5 sets, start adding those. You can add more weight. You can now control tempo, the pace at which you move, the speed at which you're moving it, right? We can manipulate a lot of different variables or add other things in. You don't necessarily always have to go heavier. Eventually, you probably should, but if that's your barrier to entry, that's your limitation, is your thought process is like, I don't want to go heavy, right? We can play with a lot of different things leading up to that before the necessary move of going heavier has to happen.
Yeah, so, okay, I think we have like a really good understanding of what strength training is now, what it looks like in the weight room, what we want. So, if you're talking to someone who's never done anything before, brand new day one, they said, yeah, like, I don't know about strength training. It's not really my thing, right? I don't know if I ever want to do anything heavy. Why? What are the benefits to this? Why are we even doing this?
That's sort of something that it's dependent on everybody. There's a lot of great things from it, but everyone has their why.
Yeah.
The why they're coming in. Most of those whys all come back to strength training's probably gonna help out.
Okay.
Right? So, take it for example, if I ask you why you strength train, it's probably much different than me.
Yeah.
Right? So if you ask me why do you strength train? Because I want to eat more food. Hands down, simple answer. Look,
donuts.
I'm old enough. I don't care what I look like on the beach. Right? I want to be able to get up and get out of bed and move. But aside from that, I like to eat. Might as well eat more food and build more muscle, right?
Yeah.
I really just like to eat, so I'm just going to eat more food. That's really the reason I do it. Hey, that's my why. If that keeps me getting up, getting out of bed and working out, that why is good for me. Everyone's why is different, but there's a lot of really great things for it. Aside from the luxury of getting to eat more food, right? Strength training allows us to build more lean body mass, muscle mass, right? Which that then carries over and allows us to do a lot of things. It allows us to get out of pain. It allows us to do things we otherwise wouldn't be able to do. It allows us to do things we enjoy and do more of it or be better at it. It has a ton of health benefits from regulating a lot of things, right? But at the end of the day, it's gonna, if we do it properly, it's gonna keep us injury free. If we're in pain, it's gonna help get us out of pain. It's gonna allow us to do more things, be more active, which that then translates into that like body composition area, because that's where most people get fixated on. They disregard a lot of the health benefits and the getting out of pain and all that, because we kind of just want to look good naked most of the time,
Well, yeah,
right?
of course.
So putting more muscle on, does it help us do that? Yes, but it allows us to do other things with that muscle that then help us move down that road a little bit more.
Okay, but one thing I want to touch on, right? If you're telling me I'm going to build muscle mass. I don't want to get bulky. Why? I don't want to get bulky. Why should I strength train now?
Good luck. Good luck. Getting bulky, you could lift all the weights in the world, you're not going to get bulky.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen. And we have proven this time and time again. Even if you want to look at any of that literature, you could look at any weight class sport. Let's take, I don't know, wrestling. It's classic. You know, wrestlers got to cut weight. They have to do that, right? You can see people wrestling at the same weight, right? Getting stronger. Are they getting bulkier? No. That same 110-pound person, they kind of look the same over the years going on. They're not getting massive. They're not losing their neck, right? You're not going to get bulky by lifting weights. You're going to get bulky if you eat a lot of food and continue to lift weights and do all the other stuff, right? We take a page out of the bodybuilder book.
Okay.
Right? And that's always a tough one. I always hesitate even saying that right away, because as soon as I say that, everyone instantly has an image of this big greased up person on stage, veins, muscles, right? Hey, that's not the case. That is the exception, right? But what have they done really, really well? Their job is to put muscle on and lose body fat. What do you want to achieve when you go into a gym? I'm asking you as the public, right? What do you want to do when you're going to the gym? I want to lose a couple pounds. How do you do that? Put a little muscle on, lose a little body fat. I wouldn't ask the janitor how to lose body fat and build muscle, but I sure would ask a bodybuilder, because they have mastered it. I'm going to take the principles that they figured out.
Literally their sport,
But I'm going to adapt them to the average population, because let's face it, none of us are going down that road. They've maximized every possible bit to get that large and muscular, right? But the principles behind how they approach it, those are gold, and we can follow them because they found the cheat code. They found the easiest way to do it, and the most efficient way would probably be the best way. Not the easy way, because it's not easy. It's very simple, but they found the most efficient way to get that done. So I'm going to look at those people, and I'm going to take the lessons from them.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're worried about getting bulky, it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen.
Well, I think it's a big differentiation there. It's like strength training isn't necessarily bulkiness, right?
Yes.
Strength training and size don't necessarily come hand in hand.
No, they do not go hand
Size
in
can
hand.
come from a whole different realm of things, whether it's a specific type of strength training, not strength training, hypertrophy training, or if it even comes from like a nutrition related side of things. Whatever it is, right? It's those two they don't go together.
Yeah. The size of your body is dependent on the amount of calories you consume, right? Plus or minus. You eat less calories, your body's going to get smaller. You eat more calories, your body's going to get bigger. The weight training throughout that kind of looks the same the whole time. Consistency. We consistently train to get stronger, to put some muscle mass on. That way we can control our body better. That means our joints don't get beat up. That means we're healthier. That means we can remain active longer and at an older age, which now increases that health marker again.
Yeah.
Right. The one thing I didn't talk about in there was food, right? That's strength training. That's all the benefits of it. Food and calories, now you introduce that when you want to manipulate making your body bigger or smaller. So strength training, right? Heavy training, that has nothing to do with how big you're going to get.
Yeah.
Right. It may have an impact on the scale immediately. So if you're not strength training, you're not lifting any weights, and you automatically start, you're probably going to gain a couple pounds. That's water weight, right? You may gain 3 to 5 pounds. Cool, don't worry about it. That's going to level off, right? It's not like suddenly your neck grew 3 inches. It's just not how it works. It takes a lot of time, a lot of effort. I've been trying to get bulky and blocky my entire life, and I still haven't even gotten there, right? Like it's.
But when
I've
will you
been
really
working.
get there? That doesn't, there's really no end in sight. That's just a constant goal.
For
You can't
us,
think all the way
for
through
us,
it.
the average person
Yeah.
just wants to feel good. They want to be able to move around. They want to be able to do things, be out of pain, right? You're not going to get bulky. It's just not going to happen. That is purely just on your calories, whether you're eating a lot of calories or eating less calories.
I mean, it's kind of just food in general. If you eat more food, you grow in size. If you don't eat more food, then you don't grow.
We
as
keep
much
it
in
really,
size.
really simple. Like fitness, health, all this stuff is really, really simple. We could sit here and we could dive deep into the science and all that.
We don't need to do that.
You don't need to.
Nope.
No, we don't want to.
Those
Keep it
basic
as simple as you
principles.
can. Yeah, basic principles.
What is a microscope in the office? Kiss. Keep it simple, stupid.
That's it.
As simple
That's
as
it.
possible. Cool. Well, anything else? Any final comments that you got for today?
Start it. Start. Don't be afraid. Don't worry. You hear lift heavy weights. Look, heavy is a relative term. Don't worry about that. Go in, pick something up. Was it challenging? No. Good. Try a little more. Do a little more. If you pick the weight up, you're constantly using that same weight and you're always in your head going, this is difficult. This is challenging. I feel this, all of that, right? If you can repeat that multiple times over multiple days, multiple weeks, that separate the sensation of working out versus what's actually happening, right? So every once in a while, test yourself. Do a little bit more.
Yeah.
Get just outside of your comfort zone and try just a touch more, because you'll be surprised at how much you're actually capable of.
We're always trying to get out of our comfort zone, always trying to get a little bit better. That's what we're doing here every day.
That's how we grow and succeed.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching the first video. Have a good one.